almost unprocessed, another is processing iron into steel. Socialist Algeria versus capitalist Ivory Coast. Algeria is demonstrating that Africans can advance the frontiers of technology without being dependent on anybody else. Algeria's industrial revolution is one of those few positive economic stories to have come out of post-colonial Africa. The country was under European colonial rule for much longer than almost any other African country apart from South Africa. But Algeria survived the departure of over 1 million white settlers on independence. The nation has since embarked on its dual ambition to create a technological society and a socialist order. In fact, of all the African countries I've been to, this is the only one which seems to take seriously Kwame Nkrumah's maxim that socialism without science is void. You see, if you want to achieve equality among your citizens, you need the socialist dream of collective effort and the welfare state. But if you want to achieve equality with the other countries, you need the scientific dream of industrialization and technology. Equity among citizens depends upon who owns what, but equity among nations depends upon who knows what. The dream continues to build socialism with foundations of steel. In Zimbabwe, the ambition is of socialism with agricultural roots, though their economic success has been based more on individual incentives. When Zimbabwe became independent in 1980, blacks were little more than subsistence farmers. Now, all the advantages once restricted to privileged whites have been extended to blacks as well, to men and to women. Credit for fertilizer and seed, good prices, cash on the nail. The peasant farmer is still encouraged to use the simpler and more familiar forms of rural technology, the ox plow instead of the tractor. Zimbabwe is the second industrial nation in Black Africa, and the country has resisted the intoxication of advanced technology, and the simpler techniques make the peasant more efficient. The result has been a miracle. Within 5 years of independence, Zimbabwe's communal farmers increased their output 10 times, matching at last white output. Together, they produced a record crop with thousands of tons for export. No, this is not food aid from distant lands. It's Africa's own produce. It's a measure of the possibilities, the potentialities. An Africa which can produce enough to feed itself and export. An Africa which has gone beyond the colonial cash crop mentality. An Africa less dependent on others for sustenance. Yes, an Africa which can conquer famine and discover self-sufficiency. But above all, an Africa that takes its farmers seriously and motivates them to produce. Yes, here in this corner of Zimbabwe, I discovered a tiny glimpse of the potentialities of Africa, a tiny glimpse of one possible future for this continent, and it seems to work. Zimbabwe has so far thwarted the demon of decay, learning to exploit Africa's abundance without surrendering to tropical complacency. She is dependent on no one for food. Indeed, she is helping less fortunate Africans. But across the continent, the image of want is still the pervading one. Few countries can feed themselves. Fewer still have anything to spare for others. The Garden of Eden is indeed in decay. Zimbabwe has shown that the human will in Africa does have the power of restoration.